Hello, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop for July 15th, 2017. I believe we are episode 37 now? We are at episode 37. So it's a heck of a thing. We've been going on for quite some time in this show, but hey, we have another exciting show. I know some of you might notice that Joe is currently not in chat, but hopefully he will show up a little later and rejoin us. Pardon me. Let me take a sip of water if I'm trying to cough. Anyway, we have an exciting group of guests for us this week. We have Rhino and Papa Mage from the Young Mage YouTube channel. And I think Joe is actually showing up now that I started. And Joe is showing up now that I started.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll adjust on the fly. We have Todd from MTG Choke. And Matt from Greyhawk Industries here to join us for a whole bunch of interesting conversations based upon, tabletop gaming. So I will have to adjust as soon as Joe's camera actually works. I'm not going to play around with it up until then. Anyway, today's topics, I do want to talk a little bit about the Magic the Gathering Comic-Con promos because they're interesting, and I've heard someone suggest that maybe they're more interesting than the I'm blanking out. The special cards for Hours of Devastation. Someone,
the
please. Invocations. Yes.
The invocations, yeah.
Yeah. Someone liked them as better as invocations than the actual invocations, and I actually thought that was an interesting one to say. Then I do want to talk about the Hours of Devastation release, and I know a few people may have experienced some pre-release, so I want to talk about that. We have two Magic YouTubers with on us today, so I wanted to talk about our experiences with it and what we think about the Magic YouTube community, things like that, how it's evolving. I do want to talk a little bit about the new Planeshift, which has been Wizards' only time of merging D&D and Magic, which they're taking the Magic versions of universes and putting them in D&D, which I find interesting. We do want to talk about the new unearthed arcana, the Greyhawk Initiative, a little bit, because it's a different take on initiative, and I find it, fascinating. And two new RPGs, the Star Trek Adventure RPG, always like that one, and Blood and Bone, which is, I guess, both a little more probably violent from its name, but also simplified system for D20 system. So I like to talk about what we think about the system for that one a little bit, too. And then, of course, we have our two normal segments, Stories from the Table, where we all share usually my guests share a story from their tabletop gaming experiences, and finish up with some gaming sage advice if we don't answer the questions in the middle of the show, because we did that last week. Some great advice during that. All right, why don't we start with what people think of the Magic Comic-Con promos, where it's a wall. Does anybody want to particularly start? I can start us off if not.
I think they look really cool, and it reminds me of like the Planeswalkers being like trapped in rock.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. It's
That's what I think.
Let me just finish readjusting on the fly, because that's what I'm doing today. That's not the right one.
So it's kind of a take of what would the planeswalkers look like if they went back to ancient Egypt and then they were carved into stone. Nissa looked kind of strange with her ears on there. You wouldn't normally expect something like that.
And the waterfall going down.
Yeah. Now the one that we kind of went on was the Nicol Bolas one that was listed. That was
it was okay.
Yeah, I did like how someone. Yeah, I like how someone showed the full picture that someone did to take these from, and it's supposed to be Nicol Bolas carving them, but he does stand out amongst this to a degree. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's an interesting stylization, I definitely have to say. Now, again, there was this conversation, would this have been better than the invocations they did, which were sort of unreadable in some ways at times?
Exactly.
This like a style as if it was Egyptian murals. Maybe that would have been cooler. I don't know, but yeah, the invocations. I mean, Magic at least is doing something very interesting with their promos this year. I have to say, different art. It's an experiment, and it's not just all from Amonkhet. They did spread out the sets they're from at least, which is cool. Granted, most of them are from the block, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, something that Rhino just noticed today was the full art lands. They're the same scene from Amonkhet, but the Hour of Devastation ones are there's destruction. So it's the same scene, and the same artist, but they go from being I don't know that you'll be able to see these very well. But actually, all right, so that's Amonkhet.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad
That's
view of it.
Amonkhet. And then this one right here is the Hour of Devastation. So you can see how it looks the same, but you can see slight destruction.
See, I like how they've gotten themes like that at least. So they've been doing.
What about the sun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been doing very good at themes, I think, and their art. So it's like we see this, and I can say like, yeah, I think this is pretty neat. It's a different take on picturing them. Definitely.
Well, it's one of those things that draws in a lot of people to Magic. So
yeah,
focusing on the art is a good, worthy goal for them.
And the thing is, I think both me and Joe have talked about this on the show before. Wizards is killing it on art across all the fronts because their art for like things in Dungeons and Dragons has just been on point too. Their focus on art, I think, has been just a great idea because again, it's like when people look at things, we're like, oh, that looks cool. I want to check this out. So I mean, it's probably a good selling point. So, yes, this is the Comic-Con previews. So, if anybody is going to go to Comic-Con, I'm not for sure. But for those that may have us in the future might go, it's something cool. All right. Now, I did want to talk about the release of Hours of Devastation and pre-release what we've experienced. Todd, why don't you start us with this one? What do you think of the release and the set, and have you had any pre-release experience for this one?
Yeah, I attended the midnight pre-release and one the following day. It was nice to see some of the mechanics come forward from Amonkhet, like the Exert and Embalm and Aftermath. On my first night, I ended up going with the white-blue deck, and I ran Eternalize and Embalm together. So it's value for the card, right? The card dies, and it can come back as something else in its place. So you don't normally have 13 to 15 creatures. Technically, you could have more than that, right? Depending on how late you get in the game and if you get to use the card's value. But I did pretty good with it. The nice thing about I find Eternalize and Embalming is that they don't rely too heavily on other dynamics. Okay, so if you're presented a sealed pool of cards and you really don't get a dynamic going, it's definitely a good fallback plan to have. Yeah. Well, the other cool thing too was I got that nice little D4 that you get when you submit your checklist to the store.
Oh, D4, man!
Yeah.
I didn't expect a D4. Yeah. Wow, it's the caltrop of the D&D world. I mean well, actually, it's the caltrop of the dice world. That's right.
So for everybody who did the pre-release, did you notice that your die was red all the time?
Oh yeah, this was the Amonkhet one.
Yeah.
And this is the Hour of Devastation one.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. So the D4 you showed me was from Hour of Devastation, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and mine was a different color. So obviously the D4s come in different colors. Interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So definitely, it seems like you had a pretty good time, and it seems like the mechanics work very well.
One thing else I noticed too is red really has a lot of sick removal in there.
Okay.
A lot. And one of the cool cards I got it right here. One of the cool cards I pulled in one of my sealed boxes was I'll put it up here. Our devastation.
Yeah, I mean that's what
Nice go-to card.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of those things. Is I think this is a place where they have the name of the set in a card in the actual set, because a lot of like other ones that you sometimes see it, you don't see it in the actual set. Like there's a card called Visions, and there's a set called Visions, but they weren't in the same set. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Get it.
Yeah. So. But it's neat.
So I ran red white on the second day, and I did pretty good on that. You know, a lot of removal in red, and white has a fair share of flyers, and a lot of people weren't prepared for flying creatures, so that worked well for me. Cool. This is a really good card, and I think it's going to really see some standard play in the future. Is this card right here?
Okay.
I had that card in my prerelease deck.
Yeah, it's it's a counter spell if you want it to be for triggered abilities, and you get to draw a card too when you cycle it. So a little bit of value there. Flash card.
Yeah, definitely. It's a creature and a counter. I always like that. So Rhino, you said you were going to go to the pre-release too. What's your experience with it? And
all right, you went to the pre-release.
Well, my deck was a blue and red deck, and as I said, I had Nimble Obstructionist in my deck, and there's this enchantment that wasn't helping me out that well. That was Imminent Doom. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one didn't seem to work that well in the sealed.
Yeah.
It does seem to work pretty well in constructed. But we, let's see, actually both of us played red-blue. He had a much better deck than mine. He had like the lands that actually did stuff. And but one of the problems that we ran into was the fact that the week before the pre-release, we were both at Boy Scout camp, so we didn't have a chance to really research the cards as well. And when you don't research, you don't do as good.
Yeah, but I also at the pre-release, I got all 5 deserts.
Yeah, you got it.
That's cool.
But it seems like the pre-release, you always get all these people coming in out of the woodwork to play in the pre-release, and then you don't see them again until the next pre-release. There was a bunch of people that said that they were going to go to the Sunday pre-release that we couldn't go to, and it turned out that only 2 people showed up, which just blew my mind.
That's not a lot of folks. Like 2. Wow.
Yeah, I mean normally we can have upwards of 20 in the 20 range at a pre-release, but one guy posted his promo that he got. He pulled Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh as a promo. So that was definitely the one to go to.
Cool. Yeah, so it sounds like the pre-release was interesting, and we can expect interesting stuff from the set, too. I mean, we've talked a lot about the cards from the set and stuff, so I think we had some good experiences with it. I mean, unfortunately, I was unable to go, but I'm glad other people lived vicariously well through me, or for me. All right. Why don't we for a little bit talk about I really want to start with the state of YouTube and Magic, because I think it's a growing community, and I know both Rhino, you, and Todd are specifically Magic YouTubers. Like, I do Magic content, but I'm not specifically a Magic YouTuber, so I have a different experience than either of you. My experience is I kind of put a toe into the Magic community. I do lore and history videos. That's my big shtick, you know. What is your experience with the community, and how do you think it's growing, is my question. Rhino, why don't we start with you, since we'll kind of go in the reverse order.
How long have you been a Magic YouTuber?
About 2 years.
Yeah, so he's been doing it about 2 years. How many videos have you done?
Oh man, there's so much that I can't.
Yeah.
I think
240.
240.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we first started out, it didn't seem like there was a lot of Magic content on YouTube. As we continue to reach out to more people, it seems like more and more people show up as, oh, yeah, I've been doing this for 3 years. And it's like, really? I haven't seen you anywhere. I didn't know you existed. And it's like, and wow, you've got, 25,000 subscribers. Where did you get them from? Oh, and then you take a look at their views, and then they don't have a lot. It's kind of interesting that we've got a group of YouTubers that are really in for, let's see what we can do to help out the community. And then there's a group that thinks that they're going to get something out of the community. I think we're in the first category. We're trying to give to the community. We're trying to help promote new and young players, and that's one of the things that Wizards likes about Rhino here is, he's a young player, and you're watching him grow up in the community. So his growth has been really, really slow.
Yeah.
Until people start playing against him, and then they realize that he is really good. And
right now I'm playing white green cats.
Yeah, he's going with different ways of doing cat tribal.
Ooh.
How the best way to do that. But as far as the rest of the community, I mean, they seem to be really accepting to him. It's just they started out very cautious, and I suppose if you look at a young YouTuber like him, you get the whole, well, is he going to be sticking around long enough? And after 2 years, there's like, okay, yeah, he's going to be sticking around. He's worth following.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know that sort of level of experience, the slow growth. That's kind of what I went for. I haven't had any big, like, flashy growth things myself, so high five on that one. Todd, what's your experiences with the YouTube community?
Okay, so my entire Magic playing existence is on its 3rd year only. So my kids got me into Magic to begin with. And after about a year playing Magic, I kind of thought about, well, why don't I make a channel? And why don't I make a channel and have fun and entertain people by opening up product? Up to that point, I was using YouTube a lot as a way to learn how to play, because I don't know about you, but I was like a sacrificial lamb when I first started going to, Friday Night Magic and drafts and stuff like that. I mean, you got to lose a lot before you start winning. And it can be pretty painful, but come a long way. And up to this point, entertaining people and recently getting involved with a competition amongst 3 other small YouTubers like myself. It's called the Creators Group. And it was put on by a gentleman from Australia. And what it targets is YouTubers with about 100 subscribers, and you get a challenge every week to make a video based on certain criteria, and you meet those points or you don't meet those points, and the judges assess you, and you either get voted off the island or you stay for another week. So until there's one winner left. And I got voted off the island first, so yay me. And here I am having more time to be on your tabletop. But yeah, definitely a little plug for them. But it's a good way to give exposure to small YouTubers and get to network with other people. And that's important too, because it's a social aspect of Magic. Whether you're going to Friday Night Magic, or you're meeting people through your subscribers, or having a tabletop discussion right here.
Yep.
And this thing is going to take off that they're doing, because they're going to have a season 2. They've made an online application, and small YouTubers can go to it and fill in the info to be part of the season 2. Because I got voted off the island first, I get to go back to season 2. So I'll be part of it. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, so that's my experience with Magic so far. I'm not a big standard player. I love doing pre-releases and sealed and FNMs.
Cool. Like, I like to tell people I'm a legacy player because I started around Rhino's age in Unlimited. That's how old I am. And I have to thank my brother for getting me into it. He got a bunch of unlimited cards, and he threw them at me, and he was like, here, I don't like these. I don't like green and red. You can play these. They didn't have value at the time, you know? Sort of like...
Hopefully you kept them and waited it out.
I have most of them. I mean, I don't have a huge amount of... Like, I have maybe one of any rare from green and red, and they didn't have the same kind of value as many of the others, but still I have a few here and there. But
you didn't trade away any Moxes for a Shivan Dragon at any point, did you?
I never got any. He was the only one that had them.
All right.
So, I did see them at one time, though, with these own eyes. But anyway, so, you know, I like the evolving experience, and this has been a new thing for me, you know, throwing myself into YouTube, and finding my voice in Magic, too. I think that's the thing, is we all have our own kind of voice for it. And since we all have our unique voice, it's sharing the community that way, I think has been very interesting, because even if, like, I see someone else do a history video, they do a different take on it completely. So it's sort of like you can get different things from different people's videos. And I like that. I like how we've all gone together. All right. So, yes, Magic YouTube community, I think I can definitely recommend just checking out everybody's channels and check out a lot of YouTube stuff on Magic. There's things from deck building help to tutorials to lore and history. So, you know. All right, let's move on, though. I do want to talk about, we're going to start moving into the combination of role-playing games and Magic. Hey, you know, Planeshift. So, Wizards likes to put out these Planeshifts, which is the only kind of thing, because I think people thought about, would they do some kind of D&D card game because they got when they got the rights to D&D? No, they really haven't. They haven't done anything until recently, when they've been putting out world settings from Magic in D&D. So you could use those world settings in a D&D game. It's just like playing with any world setting in, theoretically, other things like Forgotten Realms and stuff. It seems like that. But, why don't we talk about that a little bit? Now, Matt, you said you had some opinions on these here. So why don't we start with you?
Sure. I'll be happy to. I really, really enjoy the Planeshift setting books because they basically give you a whole new world that you can play with, that all you need to do is actually look at the monster manual, and they will give you all the reskinned versions of a monster. For example, in the Amonkhet one, it tells you that you can use a white for the embalmed guard of Nicol Bolas. And it just goes through very, very simple changes and fixes to add in those elements. The other thing it does is it gives you new races that you can play with. It gives you character background options. And every once in a while, you'll see a new actual character trait show up, like a new path or a new arcane tradition for a wizard or something of that effect. But it lets you take all of the lore for this particular Magic world, which is 2 sets deep. They've done a lot of world building in this one. Or if you go back and look at Innistrad or Zendikar, there's 6 or 7 sets worth of cards in there that you can play with, that you can design an entire campaign through. And the last one that I looked at, the Amonkhet one this morning, lets you actually take a look at running a Planeswalker campaign and what that looks like, and the ideas behind everybody being a Planeswalker, what you can do and the trouble you can get into, and you can go make Nicol Bolas mad and see how that works out for you. I believe Amonkhet shows you what happens when you make Nicol Bolas mad.
Yes.
But I very, very, very much like these as an example of how to put together a very simple, very easy world-building experience for people who are looking at building their own settings, or for any of the other folks who are looking at trying to incorporate Magic into their D&D. And the guy who wrote those, James Wyatt, did a very good job of putting together the Planeshift for the specific worlds.
No, yeah, I agree. They're very interesting. I haven't had a chance to play with any, but I keep planning on it. So I have to figure out. I have to get in my schedule of role playing games. Throw one of these in here because they're so cool, and it's like it is not a lot of information for a deep world, but it's sort of like here's what we got. Here's the establishment. You can build on what we have here. You could use the cards themselves and what you know of Magic. I mean, I think it's a great bridge between people that might be interested in going between the two games too, actually. So
if you want to get your friends started in D&D and they play Magic, grab yourself a Planeshift set and say, hey guys, we're going to play Zendikar, we're going to play Amonkhet, or we're going to play Innistrad. Let them make characters that feel like that world, and you can run with it.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I did today is I showed Rhino some of the, you roll a 1d6 to find a character's motivation or what they focus on and stuff like that. And we went through that to create a quick character, what we would call an NPC. And he really got into that to figure out how these people can have these different motivations. He really liked that. So, that's one of those nice things that that I always loved in those in those sets where it's like, okay, well, I need to create a quick NPC. This. All right, I now know how to play this person.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the advantages that I think 5th edition has is the way that the system is built makes it very easy to adapt these things to a degree too. I think it might not have been as easy in older editions. It's kind of hard to say. You probably could have put together something, but would it have been like 40 pages for this that like the PDF is that you can get for Amonkhet, and you can download for free. That's the thing. That's one of the other big advantages I think the Wizards done. They're just giving these away, I think that's been one of their smarter things too. So I find it really fascinating, definitely. And I like how they do incorporate a lot of elements from it. Like for their archetypes, or the backgrounds, they include all the kind of roles that are in Amonkhet. They've got the races. They talk about, what it means to serve each of the deities. And they even talk about, what it means for deserts in this setting. Which is something that, I think is important because of the overall setting of Amonkhet. But it's one of those weird things that, we wouldn't discuss as much, except if you're building a world in Dungeons & Dragons normally. If I'm building it on my own, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need a desert here. What am I going to do for this desert? And it's you don't see that when, I'm talking about Faerun. They might mention a specific desert, but, going to the detail in that, we have a lot of material for it. I like how they're giving it, that this is important, here it is. So, no. I think the Planeshift ones is very good, and this one's really cool. So, and I think they're just getting better at them, I feel like, as they do more of them. So, if you are a Magic player and want to try out some D&D, this might be a way to do it. Or if you're a D&D person and are interested in at least understanding these worlds that Magic's crafting, this is a great way of checking it out. All right, if anybody doesn't have anything else, I think we should move on to the next component. I want to talk about the Greyhawk Initiative from Unearthed Arcana. Okay. I think I understand this. I can understand because people have either said it's very complex, they like it a lot, or they don't like it. It seems to have this three-way split between people.
I think it's very complex and I don't like it.
That's a very fair point.
Yes. It's like whatever action you're doing, you roll a die for the initiative. You might have multiple dice, bonus dice, things like that. So...
And it's also reverse that the lower initiative is better.
Yeah. So
It's
that
very much harkening back to older editions of D&D where things like this happened.
yeah.
Yes. Like Thaco.
Look,
We
no,
don't talk about that, though.
no one talks about
hated
that.
Thaco.
That's where I cut my teeth on was Thaco.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, so did I, but Thaco was a horrible idea.
It wasn't the worst idea. It was trying to standardize something. It just did it in a very confusing manner.
You're also a math major.
Look, just
You
because
have to use subtraction more often.
I want my no, I don't want my Thaco. I'm fine without Thaco. I was gonna say it, but then I figured that's actually incorrect. Okay.
You your Thaco TV?
No. So, yeah, it's made to make things a little more on the fly. It is, I guess, made to make things, I guess, not confusing, but it makes sense to a degree that certain actions may or may not be slower than others. So I understand it's trying to be a little bit more
Balanced.
Yeah, balanced and organic in the mannerism that it's taking.
There are parts of it that I like.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I like the idea that initiative changes every round, so that the battlefield is a shifting encounter area where things might happen and you might have to react to things that happen around you. That I really, really enjoy. Once we start stacking the fact that we need to roll a die for your basic just existing, a die for using a ranged attack, or a melee attack, or casting a spell, or running away, or doing another thing. I'm running out of fingers here, guys. We're getting over of too much dice rolling, which I think 5th edition is very much against rolling lots of dice, unless you're casting Fireball.
Yes.
I mean, this is a system that encourages simplicity and ease of gameplay, and I like some of the components of it, but others of them I'm not sold on. I also like the return to form of the 3 characters that they use in the example book for the Wrath, Rupert, and Delsinora are the same ones that they explain combat with in the 2nd edition player's handbook. So that's kind of a nice throwback to an older era. But it's a little complicated and it's a little clumsy, especially for new players.
Also, I think, depending on your group, turns can take long enough as is. When you start adding in all these mechanics, you better add an extra hour to your game time.
Yeah.
Or a seminar session where you explain how this initiative system works. Block
Even
out
if you
for
do
hours.
that, there's going to be people who still take an hour for their turn.
Well, those are the people who are taking an hour for their turns anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, now they're going to
That's
take
on top
longer.
of.
Yeah, it's like I do also think that the more organic initiative that you change it possibly every round is an interesting one. I know why they standardize it in most modern RPGs, because they don't want to bog down things. So most of them tend to go away from that, but it does feel more organic. I do agree on that.
Yeah,
So it does.
I mean, and you have some GMs who already do that.
Yeah.
Who, say, oh, we're going to roll initiative every round. So that's not the horrible part of it. It's adding all these different dice, and then, there could be bonus dice, and if you do this, is this. It's like, can we not complicate the turn more, please?
I mean,
I remember I started a small battle on Twitter.
yeah. If they just made it that, like, there was no standard dice you're rolling, that maybe you had your modifier, and then depending on what actions you're going to do, you roll your initiative. It's sort of like, I'm going to do this at my turn. Roll your initiative. Okay.
Yeah, just make it a modifier instead of a different die.
Yeah.
Like, a sword attack. Well, that's going to be this modifier.
Well,
I'm attacking with my bow. That's a slightly different modifier.
What I was meaning was more like the dice they give for attacking with a bow, making melee attack, cast a die. Have that just the die you roll. Skip the d20. Skip multiple dice. Just have, like, any kind of mixture of actions be the modifier. Just have, like...
Or you could just do a different modifier for each weapon.
Well, the system doesn't use a d20 as your base initiative modifier. Basically, you're not going to roll a d20 at all when you do this initiative. You're going to take all the dice for all the actions you're going to do and roll those and see what you can do with that timing.
Yeah.
The problem with that is if you don't plan to take an action, so if you don't want to move, you don't add the movement die to your initiative pool, but you can't move during your turn.
Yeah, you can't decide later, like, oh, well, now I want to... Oh, God. Now I
really
can't
need to be
move.
30 feet that way.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing. You can't do that without actually rolling the initiative dice for it.
So you need to have your entire turn planned out, and you can't. It does a lot. does restrict you a little bit because then you can't react during a turn to a changing environment.
Yeah, like, as someone that's been, like, because I've been talking about so many different systems, it's like, I was just talking about Earth Dawn's initiative, and the fact is, I like that one, that you declare an action, you roll your initiative, but then I could change my action that I declared, I just get a penalty to whatever I'm doing, so I can react to that one.
Right, because say with this initiative system, you want to sword the guy in front of you, you don't plan on moving. Well, someone who acts before you drops that guy. There's no other enemy next to you to sword, so do you just lose your initiative then?
Yes.
Yes.
That is clearly spelled out in the example.
Yes.
That kind of sucks.
He has 4 fighters.
Well, that's why they're like, you will also add the move dice in just in case you want to use that, you know? I guess it's like, so that's why you're supposed to say, like, I want to put all these dice in because then I have options. But then I'm rolling 5 dice.
And then also I might go, way last because I decided I wanted to move and I rolled high on my move.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, there does seem to be a little bit of advantage, but then too much complexity to the system. I do agree on that one. It's an interesting experiment, but they need to work on it.
Yeah, this is really the first unearthed arcana I can say that I really don't like. I found a few of the other ones like, it's not that useful, but this one is just, I don't like it.
You're saying, Matt?
Oh, no, I was agreeing.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, so unearthed arcana. Yep. That's what we can say about it. I think I would experiment it with it once in a game, but I don't think I would make it a standard. I might use it for like a one-shot or something, that's a single session, just to test it out. But I do mostly agree with you too, it's just not the best.
If I had a bunch of 2nd edition players that I was trying to convert to 5th edition, I might use this to ease them into it because the initiative system is going to feel like what they're used to rolling.
I would be one of those people.
Yes.
Yeah, and the modifiers will make sense to them, and then slowly wean them into the more regular 5th edition initiative system. But that would be one of those instances I could see it being really, really helpful.
Because someone who spent most of their D&D existence in basic and 2nd edition rules, we had slow players, but we didn't have that over granularity that they're trying to instill today. So you eventually got somewhere. Again, where's the line drawn between overkill and not, in terms of how complex you want a turn to be?
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. It's that balance between complexity and simplicity, which they're always seeking to be simple enough for anybody to pick up, but not be too simple to throw off some of our like old timer players. That we recognize it and still enjoy the depth of the actual system.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the unearthed arcana. Why don't we move on, though, to the 2 new RPGs I want to talk about, because I know Joe's going to really be happy about this one. Star Trek Adventures RPG.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, double Vulcan. There you go.
Yes, I'll do it, too. You got me on it. All right. So, Joe.
So I've overlooked it. I'm not familiar with the base system that they're using.
The 2D20. I've heard of 2D20 a little bit, but I'm not... I know you have to roll low for it. Okay. So it's a low rolling system rather than a high rolling system.
I've heard of the existence of 2D20. I've just never played any.
Yes.
It is incorporating all the Star Trek TV shows and all the original and next-gen movies. It is not including J.J. Abrams' universe, which J.J. Abrams' universe is fine, but I'm cool with it being just the original timeline. That's fine with me. And I think it looks really interesting. They have miniatures out for it. They also have their own specialty dice.
Those giant boxes of D20s and D6s.
Yes.
That are color-coded for your whatever color your officer happens to be.
Yes, which is cool. Which would change depending on if you're doing original or something after next gen or after.
Oh no, I'm totally a science officer. My dice are blue forever.
Yes.
Yep.
But if you're command or security
Yes. You'll be
or engineering, yeah, you might have to switch.
Mhm. So, okay. What else do you think about it? What's so from the
It
sounds.
looks interesting. They have several different types of mission books out. They have Venture, basically based on different ships. They have Venture, Bellerophon, Thunderchild, and Lexington. They range from broad range missions, which I'm assuming is a little bit of everything, to specifically science missions or conflict missions.
Okay.
Yeah. From what I saw, there were the 3 for the original series, and then there's 1 for the Next Generation era, which is
The Lexington,
Next Generation. Yeah.
Now, my question is, because I kind of have looked over it a little bit too, I get the feeling that you're basically taking up all the officer slots. Is that correct? Am I correct on my assessment and my thought pattern here?
That's what I'm seeing, but
Yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, you don't want to be random crew person A.
Hey, maybe you want to be like the Reginald Barkley of Next Gen, you know?
Well, he's still slightly in the officer realm, but you don't want to be Mr. Redshirt.
Hey,
I don't
want
have a last name. I'm going to die.
As long as I can just keep changing the name on my redshirt character sheet, I'm cool.
God. Hide behind the pile of red shirts.
It's a valid strategy.
It really is.
Oh, well, in the original series, the Richards always died. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I like it though. What's this company? I'm trying to find the company name. Morpheus. Morpheus has done a lot of great stuff. I think,
they have a lot of stuff under their belt.
yeah, they've been doing the 2D20, I think, is what they mainly been doing.
Yeah, they do Conan, a Tongue Cthulhu,
And Mutant Chronicles.
Siege of Citadel.
Yeah.
So they have a whole, they have a good background and a good running on what they do.
And from the feeling of it too, they're definitely steering away from the combat focus, at least, which I like. That it's still there, but I like how it's supposed to be more like mystery, intrigue, resources, exploration kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's the 2D20 system, according to their site, for what they do is more action, is more of a cinematic action oriented system.
That makes sense with what their properties are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Star Trek Adventure, you can get the, I think the core book out now, the core rule book. You can at least, I know the PDF's available. I would have to find out if the printing is available.
I don't think the printing one's shipped yet.
Okay, so printing one hasn't shipped yet, but the PDF is available if you'd want to get it. It's definitely one to check out, especially if you're a big Star Trek fan.
Oh, they also do Tales from the Loop, which we discussed before.
Oh, we did discuss Tales from the Loop. That was a very interesting one, too. Man, Morpheus is really killing it with some interesting settings and stuff. So.
Well, they're coming out with Fallout Wasteland Warfare in October-ish, which is a miniatures game from the Fallout universe.
Jeez.
That's cool.
They're like they're getting the best properties and doing interesting things with them.
The minis look very, very cool from the shots I've seen of them.
Yeah, I'm looking on the Morpheus homepage right now, Adam, and they're very detailed. Yeah. I mean, they're simple, just one color, but they're very, very detailed.
Oh, yeah, cool. All right, why don't we move on, though, just to the last main topic for today. I do want to talk a little bit about Blood and Bone. So, they describe it as a little bit of D&D meets the more dark and gritty fantasy of something like a Game of Thrones, where, it's a much more savage world, much more dangers. And then they streamlined the D20 system. So
I was getting nervous when I hear that.
Yeah. That's one of those little things about it, is streamlining the D20 system, which I'm not sure where they're aiming for the D20 system. Are they going like 3rd edition D20, or are they going like 5th edition D20? Because there's a lot of takes on it now, actually. So I'm interested to see. I'm going to guess it's probably more towards 5th edition. Probably. That's usually
Might be.
what it is? Yeah.
I know it's a classless system where you can sort of level up your character along paths that basically define what your character is. There's a warrior path, there's a blooded path, which is kind of like their mystical paths,
Yeah.
and then there's like a politician path, which is all sorts of nobles and intrigue and sorts of things.
Which, that's kind of cool that they have, like, a very good split between those. Because that definitely makes it feel like it's a political intrigue, dark fantasy with just those there. You know, you have your warrior, mage, and politician. And this is one that was Kickstarted and just came out. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I like a good, successful Kickstarted system that actually looks interesting. They do have their own, you know, world setting, which is like, looks like a bunch of island nations. So, I would be interested in trying it out, I have to say. You know, just because I would definitely want to test out the simplified D20 system just to see how it would work. And the classless system too, you know, well, the path system almost that they have.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting.
Yeah. So. All right. Do we have anything major to talk about this one, or do we want to move on to our last segments? Okay.
I don't have anything specific.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I think we mentioned what we needed to mention about it. It's one to look out for, and if you want to, I guess if you don't mind a little bit more darker theme for your fantasy, but you also want to try something out that's a little more simplistic, that might be the game for you. You know, it's easier to get into. All right. So now it's time for our regular segments, and let's start, of course, with our first one, Stories from the Table, where we go through and we share stories from the gaming table from our guests, which can be anything from a Magic card deck you made, a game of Magic you had, a role-playing game where you had an awesome game, or even a really cool board game which you had this awesome session and beat everybody and won for absolute victory. Why don't we start from this one with Rhino, you and Pop Mage.
Okay.
What I can think of was when I was playing my Pummeler deck, my red-green Pummeler deck, I pumped up my Pummeler to 40-40 or 50-50, and I won.
Yeah. So yeah, that was before the red green pummeler was a thing. It was like as soon as Kaladesh came out, and he surprised some people with that didn't really read the rules or read the text on there, and
Yeah.
he pumped, and threw a couple of I think he put like a blossoming defense on it or something.
Blossoming defense, built to smash, and larger than life.
Yeah, and he did that like on turn 5.
No, turn 4.
Turn 4, turn 5, and it was
But
one of those big surprises.
it's like I want to kill you.
So yeah,
With trample.
it's kind of neat because a lot of people start out by underestimating him because he's 11.
Yeah.
And it was not this pre-release, but the last one where we had a whole bunch of new people come in, and somebody got paired up against him, and she said, "Oh, I'll go easy on him." Well, her friend said, "No, I've heard of this guy. Don't." So, yeah, that's kind of neat. Starting to get that reputation going along, and
That pre-release was okay.
yeah.
Well, those
There were some people that just came in and they played the first game and left.
Yeah, I think they were they did it just for the cards.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening before too.
Yeah, and because of that, that pulled down his win percentage, and so I think he only got like 5th place that time around. So, but anything else?
with my cat deck, I had a whole bunch of creatures out, Rico Caracal, and everything gets +1/+1 life, and that's all I
Yeah.
can think of.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out how to make the best big board state with cats and
Yeah.
have all the stuff on there. And on top of the same thing is ways of getting rid of solemnity so that he can still put counters on things. So
Yeah.
that's where Felidar Cub's coming in.
Yeah. That's all I can think of.
Cool. That's fine. That's a very interesting story. How about Todd? We'll kind of go in counterclockwise on my screen.
Down.
Yes.
Point down to Todd.
Yeah. Wait.
Yes.
I can point in the right direction in this stream. I have to remember I'm mirrored. So Todd, how about you?
Yeah, I guess what comes to mind the first is the midnight pre-release for Amonkhet. I had a real sweet pre-release box. And I actually got a screenshot here of what I had in my pre-release box. So I had, my promo was Gideon the Trials, and I also had a Catcher the True in there. So you can see right there, I had that to start off with. So I was sitting pretty nice. So I ended up making a red-white deck, and it really did awesome for me, that pre-release. Didn't win it all, but I still had a lot of fun because I was fortunate enough to get some real key cards in that box.
Cool.
But yeah, that would be something that was quite memorable because it doesn't always work out like that.
No, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, pre-releases you can sometimes get really lucky, and then there's those times you get like, well, I have to work with this.
Yeah, one of the things is that everyone's on the same page in terms of you get what you get in your box, but some people can be luckier than others, and you got that factor, but you also have the factor of person with the eye can single out cards that matter and make something out of nothing, or make something out of a box that wasn't really great to start with, right? So
Yeah, true.
yeah.
Cool. Matt, how about you? What's a good tabletop, story?
I'll give you the Magic story I have. That's the funniest story I have for Magic, which is that I almost got a table flipped on me.
All right. Okay.
I just gotten back into Magic. I was playing. This was the end of Innistrad, Return to Ravnica block. So those are the card sets that are legal at the time. And I build the most casual scrub blue-black mill deck that you could imagine at the time. I mean, I've got some very simple, very easy, very dumb things that I should not be able to take anyone with. And I'm paired up against a guy who's playing Chromatic Lantern Door to Nothingness. Very serious, very stern player. And he just has the worst game of his life. I think I have 76 cards in my deck. That's how bad things are going for me at this point. He goes straight sets, loses, gets milled out twice, gets straight up decked in both games. And the next thing I hear is feel the table shake, and then I feel the chair from his side of the table push back hard, and then I hear a door slam as he goes out to yell into the cosmos because he's been beaten by a mill deck.
Oh, jeez. That's a good one.
I try. I'm just playing my cards, doing my job.
Yeah. No. I've known games like that where you can just like sometimes things stack up right in your favor, and it just yep.
There were a lot of good mill cards in those sets too, like 1-2 casting cost spells that mill like 6-7 cards at a shot, and it's like turn 3 or 4, you're down half your deck, and you're staring down Jace's Phantasms at that point, and well, life's gonna be hard.
Oh no, I remember that. That was some fun stuff. Okay, so why don't we move on to our last segment for today, Gaming Sage Advice. This is where I try to basically ask a question of the cosmos just to finish up and have us just discuss a little bit to, help people out in the world today. And I think this is one that I think would be an interesting one for the group we have here, which is... when do you want to go online? Like, what steps do you want to take to make a name for yourself online, and not like the motivation before it, but like what our processes for thinking about doing this and why we would do this, I think is what I want to ask. Why would we, as a people, go online to, put ourselves out there? For me, myself, I found inspiration on other people doing stuff online. And I said to myself, I kind of wanted to do something. But what was I good at? I can talk about tabletop games. And it took me a while to figure out what content to do, what to do on Twitch, like doing this show here. Took me some time, but I did find it. And I kind of found a voice while bumbling through things, which was fine. But I felt like I got inspired to try it out for myself. Matt, why do you do what you do online?
I really started blogging seriously about a year ago. And when the new year hit, I set a goal of I will publish 5 articles a week. Because I am a lunatic. So far, I have managed to hit my goal if you take the aggregate. There have been a couple weeks where I was out of town and had some things I had to take care of. But overall, I think when I checked my stats yesterday, it was about 199 articles published since January 1st. And I like helping people find out the ways and the how to do things. Because tabletop gaming has sort of there's a lot of terminology and things that you will not get if someone doesn't explain them to you. Yeah. And I've noticed that people are not necessarily willing to share that information all the time. Ooh. So putting together a blog for that was like, here are these key terms. Here's what this means. Here's how you build a character for this game. Here's how you build a character for this game. These are ideas and thoughts you can work on for your character. And that's where I've done pretty much everything I've built since the middle of 2015-ish.
Cool. So you kind of got, you were doing some stuff and you said to yourself you want to push yourself, and that kind of inspired you to go more full time basically.
Yeah, and then I started getting a lot more active on Twitter, and the eventual goal is to have a YouTube channel and do some other stuff with that, but we're doing baby steps. We finally just got most of our equipment bought so that we can start streaming videos. Yeah. And this is actually my first video that I've done that was a live stream experience.
Cool.
I have a tiny YouTube channel with like 6 subscribers, so don't look for that because it's awful.
All right. Since we're going through in reverse, Todd, kind of what's your experience for getting into YouTube and kind of your inspiration, and how was that help other people kind of inspire them kind of thing? Because I think that's what all these are. Our stories help inspire others.
Yeah. So I think initially when I started the YouTube channel, it was an experiment just to satisfy curiosity, where I have a passion or a hobby, and I want to share it with others, and again entertain them. And it took off a little bit. Like I say, every month a few subscribers, whatever, and the videos would just accumulate. But it was nothing where I had in my mind, I'm going to switch over to this and quit my day job. Mm-hmm. In terms of instructional, educational, not so much. That wasn't my intention because I was still very new at the time in Magic, and I was still learning. So at no point during the genesis of this channel that I was selling that perspective. So it was like, whether my video is a minute or it's 5 minutes, it's a booster pack or a booster box. If you're curious, you want to be entertained and experience what I experienced opening the product, then that's the point of it. So, and now I would say there's starting to be a little bit of a shift over the last couple of months. Again, being involved with this challenge competition, it opened my eyes to how I can better upgrade my videos and deliver them in a more professional manner. And out of that came vlogging. So yeah, I've seen people vlog, but I never really thought about it myself. But I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. Why not to bring your subscribers now, since I got more of a subscriber base now, into your life? And started at an F&M, leaving your house, going out to the LGS, and being part of it, whether it's mingling with the crowd or building your deck or seeing what you cracked open, it's just a little more something for everyone. So that's where I'm standing right now with it.
No, that's actually a very interesting take, too, because it's giving, rather than educating, it's an example, almost, It's showing like the kind of things you can encounter, and I think that's an inspiration of itself too. that, you know, like someone may like would watch a video of like, oh, you're getting some really cool stuff here. That's how that works, you know, just by observing rather than by, you know, directly teaching almost too. It's like, here's what I'm going on with Friday Night Magic, you know, kind of thing. So I think that's a very interesting evolution of it. So Papa Mage, do you want to handle this, or you want to wait for Rhino to be back?
No, I can start it out. We'll see if he comes back in time.
Okay. Yep.
One of the things that people, after they come to our channel and all that, and every now and then we get comments on how slow he speaks and things like that. Then we point them back to the about video that we've done. One thing that and here he is. Come on, get in there. One thing that they don't they don't realize is he has dyslexia. He has epilepsy. So he was having a really tough time being able to read at all.
Yes.
And he did play that Pocket Monster game, if y'all ever heard of that. And the way that he played that, he memorized what was on the cards. But when he saw Magic cards, he could actually read the cards. And it was probably the font, it could have been the spacing or whatever. So as soon he could start reading it. So, you know, that was a big draw for us to get him doing more with Magic. And of course, the math that's involved and the strategy and the problem solving. And because of his epilepsy and some of the other things in our life, I have to homeschool both my kids. And so I'm thinking, all right, well, how do I make Magic part of his schoolwork? What should we do? So we looked at YouTube and we were looking around and we saw a bunch of people that had videos out on, you know, oh, these are the best sleeves, and oh, this is how you can tweak this to do this for the Pro Tour. But we didn't see a lot of basic stuff. We didn't see anybody that was young, someone that you could relate to at his age. Oh, yeah. And so we said, okay, well, why don't we start up a YouTube channel? And then as he's been growing, he's been taking on more and more of the responsibilities of the YouTube, taking a look at the analytics, the whole background of that, and trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to grow my subscribers? You know, what do they like? How do I respond to comments? You know, things like that. You know, this stuff called real life. So we started out with this being something to help him grow, and then we randomly ran into an employee of Wizards of the Coast, and they, you know, were excited that he, at this age, starting that and starting his Magic career, and looking at him growing up in Magic. So that was our main motivation, and it has been growing since. He's got some big plans of things that he wants to do, and you know, we'll slowly get there as he continues to develop.
No, I think we kind of like there are like three types of, I think, Magic players, like three groupings. We've got like the old timers like myself who've been here since the beginning. You have the people that are like late adopters, and then we have the new generation, and you know, we all have to have our own kind of voices, and I think that's a good one there. So I think that's cool that we're, you know, got that there for at least Magic too. I hope to be that for a little bit of Dungeons & Dragons too. Get some new people even my age into Dungeons & Dragons. That's just me. Both Magic and D&D. Yes. Oh my God. I think it's a great time for both Magic and D&D. So I suggest both of these. You know, I like my collectible card games. I like my role playing games. But all right, I think that's a pretty great show for today. That was pretty good. I was pretty happy about that. We had some good topics. We had some cool things. And I think actually that ended up a pretty good discussion topic. I mean, Joe, unless you want to mention anything, but I don't think you do a lot other than hang out with me online.
Nope, that's pretty much it.
You're my plucky sidekick. I needed one, I guess. You're my Chewie to my Han. All right. Why don't we take a little bit of that reverse? Rhino, Poppinch, if you guys want to plug anything you want for your stuff.
Well, what is our channel?
Our channel is youngmage.com.
Oh, that's the website. But you can get to everything from there.
Yeah.
But you can find him all over as MTG_YoungMage.
Cool. Definitely. I'll make sure to link everything in the description of the YouTube video, too. Todd, how about you? Support some stuff.
Well, I just want to say, plug for my channel. You can search it up, MTG Canuck, one word. It's a C-A-N in the name. Mm-hmm. And I'm on Twitter at MTG_Canuck also. I link a lot of I link everything now that I post up on YouTube to my Twitter. I've only been actually using Twitter since April. So yeah, I'm behind the times here. Definitely that increases exposure by a lot. I just never gave the time to consider. But yeah, so apart from that, I just want to give a little plug to my fellow competitors who are doing that challenge there. And it's the Creators Challenge, CREAYTORS. And just something to go take a peek at and see how small YouTubers like us are going through the transition of, upgrading our skills and just trying to present our favorite stuff on our channel. And it's all Magic related, of course, from my perspective.
Okay. And Matt?
I'm on Twitter at Zardoz Industry because I ran out of letters. You can find a link to my blog there. From my blog, you can find the bajillion things I work on. My tiny YouTube channels there, the places I go, the things that I look at when I'm doing stuff. That's what I got.
Okay. Cool. Joe! I mean, I know what you're going to say, but I like to...
What am I going to say?
You're going to support my stuff because it's all you do. But hey.
Of course. Yeah, so see everyone again next week on more discussing, and then see everyone tomorrow as well for more Treasure of the Lost Legion.
You're getting it right, so hey.
Yes.
And I'll probably have some kind of gaming live stream tomorrow evening after Treasure of the Lost Legion. Normal videos up on the channel. As usual, I do have all the various things for supporting and following me myself, all linked down below. Depending on if you just want to follow here or do more for me, I've got links for it in the description below, from all this stuff. So, great show, everybody. I'm hoping that perhaps some of these guests will want to be on again in the future, and me and Joe will at very least see you again next week for another exciting episode 38. It'll probably be another good one. So, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.